Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Howie, and I'm here to help you win with money. Today is Wednesday. We're at Hump Day of week number 7, February 24th, 2001. Hope everything's going well. And before I begin this week's episode, I'll figure out what trades I need to do. But I want to remind you that if you guys are on Facebook, you can go to this discussion group where I post a lot of my trades and I do my teachings here. You can learn a lot with other investors who are experienced. This is a 102 group, so please join me in Facebook. You can see it here, Investing 102. You can use this link or the URL directly. So on to some news before we go on. You see that MicroStrategy's bought more $1 billion worth of Bitcoins. There was another one where Square, I believe, bought another $170 million of Bitcoins. Let me just check. And yes, Square bought 170 more in the last quarter. So you can see Square has taken a beating. It hit 280, but it's down. But no one's crying because if you look at the 1-year chart, this thing is still up well over 200%. People are doing well. So don't feel bad for Square holders who made a lot of money on this. And potentially, with the Bitcoin, they're going to make even more money in the future. If Bitcoin continues this run up, things are looking good. With that being said, enough of Bitcoin stuff. Let's go straight into stock market trading. We are doing options, so let's see what we're going to manage first. And here you see the SPY is at 391. SPY is looking up today. So the only good thing about this is you see how many SPYs I've been playing. In my spreadsheet, I found this one here, 23 days left, and I just plugged it in. If I sold it, I collected 113 up front. I can close it for a 43% profit or of my max profit. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to sell this and close this. Before we try 64, I always like to start off with a little bit on the other side of the mid, see if we can get it. If not, that's fine too. So we'll place that trade in, and then we'll see what else we need to do for today. The other thing I did was I did roll up energy transfer, and oh, it looked like Visa did go through. So I didn't see that, but Visa did go through. So I can explain what happened. I opened Visa 2 days ago, and what happened is Visa actually moved against me. And that's because if you look at the 5-day chart, you see this huge move. Visa was down here. I did not expect this thing to move this fast in 2 days. So if you look at the beginning here, it was $1.208, and in less than 2 days, it covered $10. So what I needed to do was I needed to change so I rolled it out, and I had to also make it a little bit wider. So it was a $5 whiff originally. I moved it out to a 230 strike price, and then I also made it a $10 whiff of my iron condor. And since you see it here, I actually need to add in the legs back in. So let's do that. So let's add in a put spread. You got to make sure you select the same date. So if I go into here, it's an April 16, and now what you want to do is make sure you select these things right. I'm gonna do probably a 195. I don't know what I want to do. I gotta go 10 wide. So I'm gonna check the odds to see what the odds are at a 195. So let's just go over this real quick. At the $230, you see the delta is a 33 delta because it is 51 days out. And it's a 30% chance of happening. So that's, even though I rolled it out, I only moved it up $5, but the odds didn't really, I changed the odds slightly. So what I'm going to do now is add the put side on, and I'm going to look at odds that are a little bit safer. So I feel safer. I always love a little bit more downside protection. So I may actually go with a 10 delta or minus 10 delta, 10% chance of happening. And if I go 10 wide, we'll see how much we'll get. Worst case scenario is if there's not enough credit, I may just move it up to a 195, which is a minus 15 delta, 15% chance of happening. This is what it looks like at a 190. You can see that is almost $30 away. So here's the one that I just closed. You see I collected, it was $6 from being tested. Well, on the tested side, it was $6 away. I collected 80, but I closed it out. Didn't really make any money on it. But really what I'm doing is I created a new one and I moved it out, made it wider. And you can see that it's now 11 away instead of 6. Now the only problem is I may have to move it up now. So I'm going to have to move this up $10. And I think that's really the wisest thing to do. Is I moved it up $10. The credit is small, but I'm still padding. You don't want to move it too close to the strike price because if the stock market reverses, you want to make sure you have some room to navigate. So that's really the hardest piece is what's the right price. So I still want to build in some protection on the downside risk. So that's what I'm doing here. So let's put that in. I don't know what the right price is. I picked it a little bit above the mid. Let's see what happens here. And it did sell right away. You see that? So I got a little bit above the mid. And you can even see that I asked for 55 and I got 57. So this is the best price. So these are always good to know. That was on the news last week with the whole verdict, with the whole GameStop stuff. This is why sometimes you don't have to be precise, because if you're getting the best price and it's executed right away, this is the beauty of using a broker that will do that. If I was using Robinhood, I may just gotten the 55 cents and maybe would never known about the 57. So now moving back to the S&P 500, I do want to close this. So I'm going to move this now to 63. So I fixed Visa already. So while we're here, let's see, can we get this trade in? I'm going to hit refresh just to make sure. And if not, I'm going to move up another penny. Move this to a 64. And you see that's where the mid is. Obviously, I can sell it if I put 65 or 66 in there. But we're just going to move it 1 penny at a time until it gets sold. There's no rush. We have plenty of time before the end of the market day. And I'm just trying to reposition my portfolio based on what happened in the last day or two. So let's move it to 55. I'm going to send that in. And you will see at 55 it did get across. I closed the S&P 500. And that was this one here. So now this one is marked close. This one is 23 days. This one is 36 days. So I closed this one for 55. Was it 55 or maybe it was 6? Let me check real quick. Okay, I did say it wrong. It's 65. So I closed it for 65. I'll put that in. So this is now closed. I mark it as closed here. And I just have to maintain the spreadsheet. Sometimes I don't maintain it really well, but it's okay. Now what I want to do is take a look at, I have some other ones that I want to leave open because those are my other, actually, you know what? I have two of them the same date. I may actually close one of these. It makes no sense to have a 6 contract and a 7 contract on the same day when I already know I made money, because you see how I collected roughly the same. So I can still make, and I'll leave one set open, I think is what I'll do. But what I want to do is, since I closed this one, I want to open a new one. And I like to open it sometime after April, because you see this is 36 days. I want to push it back closer to 40 or 45. So let's do that real quick. Here's what I think I'm doing for an April 16 Iron Condor. A 348. 348 is over here. The delta is a minus 12, roughly 4% chance of happening. And then on the upside, I'm looking at a 420 with a 10 wide. So we'll just check that out. A 420 10 wide is over here. That is a 9% delta, or 0.9, 13% chance of happening. So that's a 9, 13% chance of happening. So let's punch that in. 9, 13% chance of happening. So I logged it in. You can see the distance from today's price. At a free 91, I'm 29 points away. So that looks good to me. I'm going to place this for 2 contracts only. Even though I just closed one with a free, I'm collecting 124 roughly. I think I started off on the higher side, and let's see what happens. I'm asking for 125. So this will get sold. I'm going to not record this, but it'll get sold. And it went across at 121. So I'm going to record that. I'm just going to delete some of these things here because I don't like all the useless messages. So I got it at 121. Put it in my spreadsheet so I know. So that's this new one that I just opened. I did a 2, 51 days out, 121. So now that I have a baseline for it, if I decide to close, I want to close one of these. So I have a 6 and a 7 out there. I may close a 6. So let's figure out how to do that. And here you go. What I end up doing is you select all the 6 for March 19. You see how I have 7s in there? You don't want to mix and mingle or else you will mess up the pairing and your brokerage company will get confused. I press the close button. You see it here. It's 52. So that's wonderful because now what I'm saying is I would like to close this one here and I can get, it says 52 is what it's saying today, which means my profit margin is at the 50% mark if I get 52. So let's see what we can get it for. It may cost me 54 cents. So we will do this. We'll punch in 0.52. Whoops. Don't want to overpay to close it. We'll try 52 and we'll move it up to 54 if we need to. So we'll put that in. Let's see how long it takes to get filled. It's still open at 62. Let's hit refresh. I may move it up to 53 pennies. No, look, maybe we just have to wait a little bit. Let's not do anything. It's moving in our favor, so sometimes you just have to wait. You don't need to move anything. Let me check the confirmation. Nope, still at 52. I do need to move it up one more. We'll move to 53. Still didn't sell yet. The transactions, the 6s went across. You see it here, you see it there, and this one they broke it into little pieces. But you see it, I had to roll it up, but I finally got it across and closed. So that's a good thing. So let's move on to the next piece. In my next trade, I want to do a new iron conduit here. So I finally put in the trade, but I think I need to lower the credit to get it sold. So I'm just going to start lowering this until it gets sold. Remember, you got to get it closer to the mid. And in this case, I need to be near or under 119 to get this sold. So let's just keep on moving it until it gets sold. And I would be really happy with this one once we get there. Let's just keep on recording and keep on lowering, and it'll eventually get sold because it generally happens pretty quick in real time. I'm at 118 now. Let me just make sure. 118. Move it 1 penny down. Let's just keep on doing this. Let's hit refresh. Wait 2 seconds. Nothing yet. I need to move to 117. And then at the 116, you should see it should happen because that's the low end of the bid-ask spread. So let's see what happens here. Look, still not happening yet. So 116 is what we're going to get for it. And that's the low end of the bid-ask spread. Here you go. So this one should be it. Should be no surprise that the order will go across. Doesn't surprise you. Doesn't surprise me. I got 8 contracts in. There you go. So that will do for my S&P. So hang on 1 second. I'm just want to do some housekeeping real quick. Go over here. This is new. I placed this trade, and I believe I said I got 118 for it, or 116, I think. So that was 8 contracts. So you see how much I collected. And what I'm looking for is I keep on rolling. So as soon as I close these, I roll this. I'm going to leave this one open for at least 3 or 4 or 5 more days. And the reason is I have plenty of room. You see that? It's only it's being tested on the upside, on the call side, but it's still far enough away where I should be fine. This one I open as a really narrow. You see how this one is narrow? Because it was narrow and I started with a shorter time frame, I need to let this go on a few more days before I decide to close it. So this one I'm okay with, even though it's, if you're wondering why I closed something with 23 days, these hit their 50 or close to 40-50% profit. This did not. So I'm going to let this one open for a few more days before I need to manage it. This one, I could close it today, but I choose not to because I already did this one here. So I'm going to let this one ride a few more days, but I need to keep an eye on it. You don't want the S&P to be trading at 405, let's say, because that will be too close to this side. So that's part of managing your trades. I lowered my limit order, and both of my Riots are now, I rolled them down and out for net premium still, or net credit. So that's what I'm doing. I have to, Riot is still high risk. You see that even though it's up, it's still high risk. I need to get my strike price under and stay ahead of the next downfall. Riot could be trading at $30-$40. So I'm trying to get ahead of it by rolling it down. You see that? This one went from a 52 to a 50. This one 55 to a 53. Okay, I did the same thing here. This one I rolled up and out. I rolled it up 1 week, added another 50 cents to the strike price, and you see I netted another 20 cents net premium. With that being done, I did so many trades in this video. I'm probably going to end it here, so don't forget to give me a thumbs up, like, and leave a comment below. Let me know how you're doing on this day where everything is green. Hopefully you made up some of the losses that you experienced earlier this week or last week. With that being said, let's do this together. Let's do this $1 at a time and have a profitable day. Bye-bye.